Greetings and salutations and welcome to Illegitimate Legends, the show where I like to talk about some of the more unusual League of Legends builds, and this week we are taking a look at a Support Warwick build. Now Warwick works marvellously as a support, and the reason for this is his base damage and his base powers don't really scale very well. Now I have mentioned that they do scale quite well with AP, but only in one small factor, and if you build a lot of damage, your ultimate is insane. Let's not take away from this, but you don't need either damage or AP to reach your full effectiveness. Which is why most people build him mostly as a bruiser, tanky sort of build, because he can soak up a lot of damage. This ult is fantastic for taking people out of the picture. Instead though, what you can do is take him into the support lane. This brings the full effectiveness of your W into play, because that steroid, 40% increased attack speed for yourself and 20% for all allies at level 1, that is a lot. That is a lot of attack speed, really. You can use that to get your AD carry everything they need while soaking up plenty of damage and doing stupid amounts of damage with your Q. Like I said, this is without any scaling, because the Q does percentage damage if they're on high health, and flat damage if they're on low. It's a strong ability, ridiculously so, and it synergizes so well with not having anything. Waltz into the lane. They won't be expecting you to support, because you're a melee, and you got very few supporting potential. At least that's what most people think. Then start queuing the shit out of them. It's going to hurt them a lot. It's a very powerful ability. It's just going to mess around with them. When big fights come, pop your W. That'll get your AD carry a massive advantage over theirs, because if you take AD carry that doesn't have a steroid, giving them a steroid is usually fairly ridiculous. They don't have a steroid for a reason. You provide that yourself. I cannot actually explain this in words that seem to make sense. I don't know why, but your W is strong. Let's just leave it at that. The other thing that you need to take note of is your E. You want one rank of this at about level 4, and keep it roughly even to your W. Remembering, of course, that you are focusing your Q, because leveling up your W isn't very effective. You don't get much out of that skill point. Your E allows you to buy minimal wards. Now, as a support, this isn't necessarily a good thing, but if the laning phase is very, very strong, if it's going to last a long time of fairly consistent back and forth, if you can keep the enemy team down below half health, your E, that passive E means that you're going to know where they are at all times. You can use that to not buy wards in the 2 bottom bushes, just buy them for the river to prevent ganks. You will see where the enemy team is at all times. Now, this is very, very difficult to accomplish, I will admit that, because, well, most people don't like staying below half health. Who'd have thought? And on top of that, most supports have some sort of sustain. There's a lot of healers in the supporting class, who'd have thunk. These are your enemy. You will not enjoy being against healer supports. It's just the way it is. Early game, they will completely deny your effectiveness. If they don't have a high sustain lane though, you will mess them over to no end. As for your items, definitely start heading toward a Philosopher's Stone. It's the first item you want to be getting, because that gold, it's nice. It is really nice. So get the 2 building into that, the regen bead and the fairy charm, and then get some wards. When you first return to base, build your Philosopher's Stone. Then go immediately into Zeke's Herald. Zeke's Herald, as most of you should know, is kinda really freaking good. Synergizes stupidly with your W, making your AD carry incredibly strong. It provides lifesteal, damage, and you're providing the attack speed. It's half the build of an AD carry, right there. Now, it's not massive in the end game, but it is stupidly powerful fairly early on. And that is why you rush it. Do not even buy shoes before your Zeke's Herald. You don't need shoes though, because as Warwick your E is providing fairly massive movement speed bonus. Need to keep them below half health. Can be hard against high sustain lanes. We've covered this already. Then get your shoes as your third item, and from that point I don't much care. Look at auras to support your team. Look at AP to deal more damage if you're into that. I wasn't really. AP didn't seem to fit this late into it. And possibly some AD, again, if you're into that. But for the most part, build tanky. Definitely consider getting a Ruby Sightstone, because that's just great. And just mess around with it. Play around with your build a bit, but once you've got those first 3 items, nothing else is hugely important. You've built the supporting component, and you've used the supportingness of the build. Remember wards though. You are still the support, you must ward. I am bad at wards. This nearly got my team killed many, many times. Don't be me, buy a ward. That's really all the complexity. I mean, all you need to do is Q whenever it's off cooldown. W whenever your AD carry is about to start attacking. Leave your E turned on, there's no point having it turned off, the enemy are going to know you're coming anyway. And ulti their AD carry, or whoever seems to be doing the most damage, whenever you can. Take them out. That stun is ridiculous, because it's not a stun, it's a suppress, but still. It's really freaking useful. And that is how you support as Warwick. I found it highly effective. Now, at first a lot of people were skeptical, and I didn't really do Support Warwick much justice, because he isn't that good against high sustain, and I kept coming up against Soraka. But keep trying, you'll come up against a low sustain lane, and you will dominate. And that is all. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Good night.